So I see some unqualified people I see some unqualified people attempting to teach what it means to be a Moor. And so at this particular point, I want to make it plain and clear as to the race classification of whom I like to call Noble Drew Ali's Moors. There's a brother right now going on. I think he calls himself the Moorish Muscle. Right now on his live feed, he is claiming that Moors are not black, Negro, colored, Ethiopian, or African American, and he's claiming that Moors aren't white. Now he sounds as if he's one who's studied Drew Ali's literature, but he hadn't. So I'm going to show you all the classification of North African Moors according to Noble Drew Ali. And according to the U.S. according to U.S. Code. Yeah, not yet. According to 42 U.S.C. Section 2000 E-16, I'm going to show you that the North African Moors, that the Moors of America, who are descendants of North Africans, have white status, all right, as race classification. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Well, you get to believe it, you get to see it today. Give me a moment to find my there we go, my markers. There we go. Alright. So, let me see. Yeah. This is the standard form. Alhamdulillah. This is the standard form . 181. All right, ethnicity. And race. Identification. All right, this is race classification. Okay? Drew Ali teaches his Moorish Americans, right, that they are not black. We have a black status on here. It says black or African American. And it says, its definition, a person having origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa. Y'all see that? Right? I appreciate the one individual who is in the room, right? So black as a race status, as a race classification, deals with any person having origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa. Alright, well Drew Ali said that his Moors are not that, right? So these are not Moors Americans. Now we have white, and white says so white has original peoples, not social, not African black racial groups, but original having origins. Let me see, person having origins in any of the original of Europe, the Middle East, or North Africa. So there is a white racial group of Africa having origins in original people, and the black status does not have origins in any original people. It has origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa. Alright? So, North Africans, Drew Ali called his Moors North Africans, right? The tribe of Moab, they're now Moroccans, etc., right? So now, in his questionnaire, in his one-on-ones, Drew Ali tells us 85, it says, name some of the marks that were put upon the Moors of Northwest by the European nations in 1774. Now before I go there, that was number 85, right? Let's go to chapter 47 of the Circle 7. Chapter 47, which teaches us about Egypt, the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. And then let's just go to the last two verses, 16 and 17, which state, through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery due to the fact that they honored not the creed and principles of their forefathers. And then 17 says, that is why the nationality of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774, and the words Negro, black, and colored were given to the Asiatics of America who have Moorish descent, because they honored not the principles of their mothers and fathers, and strayed after the gods of Europe, of whom they knew nothing. Now, getting back to this here, it says, name some of the marks that were put upon the Moors of Northwest by the European nations in 1774. Negro, black, colored, and Ethiopian. Now we just found out from the Moorish perspective that the reasons why these names or these marks were placed upon the Moors, the Asiatics of Moorish descent in America, was because the Asiatics of Moorish descent in America strayed after European ideology. Not because the Europeans stole anything, right? Now mind you, right? White means a person having origins in any of the original, having origin in any of the, oh, okay, I see what I did wrong. Having origin in any of the, oh, okay, I see what I did wrong there. In any of the original peoples of Europe. Alright, so there were Europeans here in America, Middle East. Well, of course, there were Hindus, there were Asiatic Hindus, or American Hindus, American Indians in America. There were North Africans in America, and they all share the same status, right? So again, we find out the Moors were doing other stuff other than being themselves, other than being part of the whole, and that's why, right, they were called black instead of white. Alright. 86 says, in all reality, what is a Negro? It says that a Negro is a four-legged animal. So a Negro, or a black, or an African, it's not of the human quality. It's not of the same spiritual or conscious, it does not stand upright. We'll put it that way. If it's four-legged, it does not stand upright. Alright? Alright, it says, what is meant by the word black? It says black, according to science, means death. But what science are we talking about then? Well, we're talking about the observation of universal order. We're talking about the science of nationality, the science of race identification. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the science of commerce. And under the commerce, it says that black means death, right? And then again, we see that black or African American is a person having origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa. It is not a person having origins in any original people. Okay? So it is not upright. Right? Then it says, what does the word colored mean? The word colored means anything that ED, right? So, like this board is white, but it has been stained, right? It's not clean, right? It has been painted, stained, varnished, or dyed. This is what colored means, that it is not what it appears, it is not what is presented. It does not present itself as what it truly is, okay? Then it asks, what does Ethiopia mean? It says that Ethiopia means anything that has, Ethiopia means something divided. So now, we're not just talking about Ethiopia in Africa, we're also talking about Ethiopia in the Middle East. Because some of those Hindu brothers and sisters, right, they were also called Ethiopians, but they were never Ethiopians. Right? They were Hindus. They were Indian. Right? Okay. It says, can a man, right, be a Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian? So we find the answer no. A man, a living being, cannot be a person having origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa. Okay? This is what we're learning so far. This is what Drew Ali is telling us. This is what we're learning so far. This is what Drew Ali is telling us in his literature. Right? Then it says, it asks you, why? Why can't a man be black, Negro, or colored, or Ethiopian? It says because man is made in the image and after the likeness of God, Allah, right? So man is made in the image and after the likeness of God. This is why man can't be black. Well then if man isn't black and God isn't black, let's find out what God is. And then we can find out what man is, right? The next question says, what title does Satan give himself? God. Satan is the adversary. Okay? Your devil is in yourself. Nonetheless, the next question says, will you define white? So now we're about to get a definition of white. Right? White means purity. Purity means God. God means ruler of the land. White means purity. Purity means God. Man and his God are one. Man can't be black, Negro, or colored because he's made in the image and after the likeness of God. Well, God is white. Of course, we as North African descendants, right, have white status. We have persons, property, having origins in any of the original peoples of Europe, the Middle East, or North Africa as a whole. Drew Ali just told you what your nationality was. He just told you what your race classification was as a Moorish American. Now hold on, it gets a little deeper than that, right? Drew Ali also makes mention of European and Middle Eastern nations, right? In his divine warning for all the nations, right? So this is a warning. Is the book for sale? Yes, this book is for sale. You can find it on the channel. We have a website. I need to put that back up there. It's not up there at the time. I'll get that to you once I'm done. This shouldn't be too long. But you can also download most of this information from the website as well. Alright? Just letting you all know that. So, in this divine warning, which is a newspaper article, okay, that was published in the 1900s through Drew Ali's organization, right, where he's teaching his members to be better citizens. Better citizens, right? And he makes this statement. He says, I love my people, and I desire their unity and mine back to their own free, national, and divine standard, because day by day they have been violating the national and constitutional laws of their government by claiming names and principles that are unconstitutional. Now, we've just found out that black, Negro, colored, African American, etc., these are unconstitutional, right? Drew Ali speaks about the 14th and 15th Amendments in here just as well, telling you that the 14th and 15th Amendments as far as citizenship and as far as voting privileges do not apply to his people who are learning to be better citizens, nor does it apply to American citizens who already know better. Alright? So now what does Drew Ali says? He says, if Italians, Greeks, and English, those are Europeans. Japanese, Turks, and Arabians, those Middle Easterners, are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government of the United States of America, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all other American citizens alone. Now he said Italians, Greeks, what did he say? In English, Japanese, Chinese, Turkish, and Arabs. So he gave us Europe and the Middle East. And then he said, if these people are forced to proclaim their nationality, then that applies to all other American citizens. And remember, Jurali's Moors are North Africans. So he's saying that what applies to these people under white status applies to the North African people as well, who are in union as white. I don't understand why. I don't get where a lot of these Moors miss that. I don't think they're really looking for the truth. Just me personally. I don't think they're looking for the truth. But I'm showing you through the Moorish American literature and through government, right? Because he's saying to declare your nationality, which is your race. He's saying to declare your race, all right, before the constitutional government. So we have the constitutional government. We have the USA race identification. It says that white deals with North Africans. Why are these nut-ass Moors out here talking about, oh, we're not black, Negro, colored, we're not crayons, we're not white, we're Moors? Fuck do you mean? You're North African. You say you're of the North African diaspora, right, here in America. Well, what is North Africa? That's West Sahara, that's Morocco, that's Mauritania, that's Libya, that's Tripoli, that's Tunisia, that's Algeria, that's Tangiers, that's Sudan, that's Egypt. All of that, that's North Africa. All that, everything, that's North Africa. What do you mean you're not white? Can we correct that form? If so, who do we send it to? Absolutely, you start with the SS5. You change everything, you get everything right and exact with this Social Security 5 application for Social Security card. But you're doing it not as a new card, but as a replacement. On here, you are able to declare, you are able to change, you are able to update properly with the Social Security Administration, which works with all other, right, government departments. When you're dealing in commerce, you're able to establish your race and your citizenship. U.S. citizenship, look, race says white. You got a white race here. You've got a black/African American race here, right? You got Native Hawaiian, Alaskan Native, Asian, American Indian, and other Pacific Islander. So you got all of these race classifications. Now, as a North African descendant, not meaning that I'm from Africa, but that I've descended. That is the line from which I came, and I landed here in America. I still have white status. Why? Because I'm honoring the governing principles of my foreparents. Right? I'm honoring my national and divine creed. Right? I'm honoring the constitutional law, right, of this government. I identified as a living man. White status. North African. Drew Ali told us that white means purity and purity means God. So God means white. Drew Ali is teaching us that man and his God are one. We just find out that man can't be black because man is made after the image, in the image and likeness of God. And then we find out that God is what? White. Now, if you don't get that from what I put up there, I don't know why, but hey, it is what it is. But for those of you who can see what I saw, what I just said, you can now understand why the Moorish Americans are still in the back. We're still in the back. Because we out here talk about we ain't this and we ain't that, but we're not smart enough to tell you what we really are. All these people, whether they're using Drew Ali or not, they don't know what they're talking about. Oh, I'm a Moor. My race is Asiatic. Asiatic is white, nigga. Asiatic is white. That's not the same as Asian. Would it be a red flag if one chose two races and changed it to one race white? As long as you don't mark that you are black, you have some ground in the land. If you mark that you are white and something else, that white standing, right? That status, that's the principal status. So you can say that you were white and Native or American Indian, but then you have to acknowledge as white. Are you coming from North Africa, Asia, or the Middle East? If you're a Pacific Islander, are you coming from North Africa, Europe, or the Middle East? Right? Now, mind you, all three of these continents met here in America and established America together in union. Is there a Gatorade bottle? What are you talking about? You just in here to be talking? Yes, this is a Gatorade bottle. What's wrong with Gatorade bottles full of water? What's wrong with you? So to answer the question, you can place more than one race if you wish, but that white race classification, and that's one of my favorite drinks, Gatorade. I don't drink Gatorade. My son drank the Gatorade, and I recycled the bottle to drink water. Right? I'm Bobby Boucher. You know what I'm saying? I don't fuck with Gatorade. I fuck with high quality H2O. You heard me? Anyway, white status is the highest status in America. Because white status is the status that represents all nations as one nation in union. Well, that's cool. If you chose white, then that's what it is, Again, in America, to be white means to be of the republic. It means to be recognized as one of we the people. That's what white means. And now we found out that white doesn't mean, hey, my skin is pale. It doesn't mean that. And we found out that black doesn't mean, hey, my skin is dark. It doesn't mean that. Because throughout North Africa, it's a prime example, right? We got Muammar Gaddafi. Muammar Gaddafi was from Libya. He was Libyan. That's North African. And that brother's skin was pale. Did that make him less African? No. Did that make him European? No. Was his status still white if he were to come to America? Absolutely. The Sudanese people, the Sudanese people now I need to come in my religious dominion. Okay. So we have the Egyptians, we have dark-skinned Egyptians with like blue tint eyes, right? This is the natural tone of Egyptians, of Sudanese people. So they're damn near as black as coal. Yet when they come to America, they have white status. Africa was a Roman. All right, you get to leave because we're not going over that. But it was great with you being here. Do 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 do. We don't need all of that in there. Israel's on the continent of Africa, but they call it the Middle East. Okay, so again, white has Middle East. White literally says, because it has its own, race classification for Asian. Okay? Asian is a person having origins in any of the original peoples of the Far East, Southeast Asia, or the Indian subcontinent, including, for example, Cambodia, China, India, Japan. Remember, Jurali listed Japan, right? Korea, Malaysia, China, by the way, right? So, Asian, you can be white and Asian. You can be white and Middle Eastern. Middle Eastern is still Asian. As a matter of fact, what they call the Middle East is really Afro-Asiatic, where they meet. Alright? That's what the Middle East is really about. It's where Africa and Asia meet and become one. This is the Afro-Asiatic ideology. Can you explain how we are Asiatic and white? I thought I just did that, but no problem. White means in union with all the other Islamic concepts. North Africa, the Middle East, and parts of Europe were under Islamic rule. Asiatic, Afro-Asiatic, Afro-Eurasiatic. We are the Asiatics are Muslims. So when we're Asiatic, we're just saying that we are in alignment with those brothers of Asia, such as, right? Cambodia, China, India, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, Pakistan, the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam, etc. Now, mind you, the Philippines, that's Palestine. The Philistines, those are the pardon me. That's Filipino, pardon. All right, but nonetheless, right? So these are Asiatics. Now, if they're Muslim, right, then they identify as one with the rest of humanity, because in Islam, we consider all humanity Muslims. All right? All right, and you can lead too, because no, the name Africa did not come from a European concept. And Alkebulan is not the name of the continent. And we can't even find the language where the word Alkebulan supposedly comes from. You're kicked. Get out of here. Turn on community flag commenting. Nah, I can do it myself. Alright. So, we are Asiatics because we identify as all of humanity, no matter where we are on a continent, under Islam. So, I could be identified as a Middle Easterner. Alright? Because Muslims are known as Middle Easterners. I could be identified as an African. I could be identified as an Asian. Right? Look at the Hindu Muslims. Right? The Hindu Muslims in America, those are the American Hindus. Or the Indian Americans. Not the American Indians, but the Indian Americans, right? They're Asiatics. We're the same people. This classification says that all of humanity comes from one source, and then that source of that race, there's one race, and the race is white. So we can be Asiatics, we can be Africans, right? We can even be European. Are we Muslim here in America? That's what makes us connected, okay? That's how we are Asiatics, because Islam as a brotherhood, right, extends throughout Asia, throughout North Africa, throughout Europe, and throughout America. So I hope that helps. I do hope that helps, right? But I only came here just quickly, just briefly, to show you all that these Moors out here don't understand, they don't comprehend that we're supposed to be linking ourselves back with the families of nations. We're not supposed to be out here acting like we're different or better than anybody. And that's what you have out here. You have those calling themselves Moors who are teaching you, right? We're not blacks, Negroes, coloreds. And then they'll go on and tell certain people, you're black, you're not white, you're black. But what they won't say, a lot of them, I don't hear them say, yeah, we have white status. And why don't they say that we have white status? Because they have hate in their heart, they don't know true Islam, and they don't want to be under the brotherhood. They want to do to the Europeans who chose not to be Muslims what happened to them. I want that families of nations. Okay. Drew Ali told us about the families of nations. Right? That sounds like the United Nations to me. Right? That sounds like all 50 nations within a nation. Right? Recognizing each other. And then on a global scale, right? Because I'm also a global citizen. Right? Islam is all over. Islam has 1/3 of the earth. You can find Islam anywhere on earth. So I identify with the Islamic concept, which again has white status. Right? There were Latin, if you will, people who desired to no longer deal with the Arab world, right? And they tore themselves away through their own hierarchy, where they started to say that the darker you are, the darker your skin was, the more Muslim you were. This is where we get that whole idea that Moor means black, or that Moor means any dark-skinned person. That's not what it really means. That has never been what it truly meant. That's what is meant through the European ideology of those Arabs who desire to be Roman and European. And then, again, them cutting themselves off and following after God, straying after ideologies that they know nothing of. And again, the Moors are doing it too. We don't want to be white. We don't want to be one with the rest. We want to be something like Islam. You know, and Drew Ali told the people, he said, man, your will, your way. Your way is wrong, though, children. All you got to do is follow me. But he's telling you, whatever it is that you desire, that's what you're going to get. So if you don't wish to be identified as one of the people, you will be mistreated, abused, exiled, whatever the case may be, by the citizens. Right? So I hope that you all can get that concept, right? I hope that y'all can all begin to learn to love instead of hate. I hope that you can look at every human being and say, hey, that's my brother and sister, rather than, oh, he's from Europe, or oh, he's from Africa, or oh, he's dark-skinned, or oh, he's pale, whatever the case may be. I hope y'all can get over that, because in Islam we don't have that. In the truth of Islam, we don't have that. In Islam, everybody's white. Everybody, because right, according to Islam, according to higher or inner or deeper understanding of Islam, all of humanity are white. White means without sin. Alright? And in Christianity, everyone is supposed to have been born in sin. Sin is black. darkness, not being able to be seen, unrecognizableness. All right, so when y'all start working, when y'all start looking at these Moorish Americans, and you hear them ranting and raving and shit, and you got the time, check them. Say, hey, didn't, and you got the time, check them. Say, hey, didn't call him our prophet. Drew Ali said that he was a prophet to all Americans. He said that he came to the darker skinned ones because they needed it the most, because it was the darker skinned Americans, right, that were acting as Negroes. They weren't acting as white. They weren't acting as sovereign. They weren't acting as one of the people. So check them and say, hey, the prophet said that you're supposed to follow what the Europeans and the Middle Eastern nations have done when it comes to declaring your nationality or declaring your race. Tell them that. Tell these nuts. Because these are my brothers and sisters. They don't want to believe me because, you know, they have this, they're comfortable in their ignorance. They're comfortable in it. You know what I'm saying? They feel like they got some pride in their ignorance because a couple of people like to ride behind them and, you know, lift them up. But you let them know, hey, the prophet said, right? Even if you want to fucking pick with them. Because, again, that's kind of how these Negro lines work, right? You got to fool them. Right? Tell them, man, nigga, your prophet said. Your prophet done that. That ain't what your prophet said. What do you know about Drew Ali? Tell them what I told you. Tell them where I told you to find it. Tell them, hey, you got this information. I didn't even get this information until now, but once I studied it, it says that Moors are North African inhabitants, and that makes them white. Tell them that. Just tell them that. You know what I'm saying? Because they won't take it from me. Right? But they'll take it from you, the non-Muslim, or they'll take it from you. They'll take it from the non-Muslim who brings them their Islam. Bring them their Islam. Remember, I told you that the race and ethnicity identification for North Africans, Drew Ali called his Moors North Africans. It's white. Nationality deals with your race. So your nationality is Moorish American. You're North African. You're white. Tell them that in their lessons, it says that God means white, white means God. God and man are one, and the man cannot be black. And we know that the extreme opposite of black is what? White. So tell them that. Appreciate you all for coming. Right? Now I'm going to go ahead and burn down this blunt. But I just felt to share that with you all. Right? And so I did. Because again, I'm tired of hearing these Moors out here teaching without truth. They don't know what they're talking about. These Moors literally don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Alright, so you bring that to them. You let them know that, hey, look, this is what your prophet said. Right? You tell them, yeah, I heard this one brother named David Shell. Right? And he showed me in your literature. He showed me through your literature. I don't have the literature, but I remember he says something about a divine warning. He says something about the 101s. He says something about black, Negro, colored, Ethiopian, and white. That's what you tell them. And let them go look at that shit. Say, hey, you're supposed to be white, bro. Tell them, by identifying as anything other than white, right? you were straying after the gods of Europe, because that's what the Europeans did. The Europeans tore themselves away from the hope. And then in 1774, we find the darker skins acting silly, acting uncivilized, right? And so it was like, fuck it, we're going to call it how we see it. The Europeans said, we're going to call it how we see it. The same information, the Renaissance, the same rebirth that we experienced, now you must experience. Just tell them that, all right? Appreciate you all for coming, man. I'm going to end this now.